it's amazing when we talk about communication as human beings, and our communication and our ability to communicate can sometimes falter when we've got so many ways of communicating. Mobile phones, calls, text messages, emails, Instagram, etc., Facebook, etc., etc. Yet, 2 Saturdays ago, 2 umpires doing a second 11 game left the ground of the belief that the other guy was going to do the report. And guess what happened? Nobody did it. So can I encourage you, please, talk to your partner and work out who's going to do the match report. Now, one of the things that, and I'll be ringing Ken Hilton about this tomorrow, and I spoke to Jeff Hart about it tonight along with Neil, is if you're doing thirds and fourths and you know how to do it online, by all means go and do it. But, because there are some umpires, club umpires as well as panel umpires, that don't either have a computer or know how to do it online, they'll do the paper, still do the paperwork. It's important to let Ken Hilton know. If you do it online in thirds and fourths, just flick him a text message or an email, say you have done that report for this match online. Otherwise he won't know, and he'll be waiting for the paperwork to arrive or whatever, and it'll catch him out. So it's about communication. So if you know you're doing a thirds or a fourths, you're going to do it online, I reiterate, please let Ken Hilton know. Now the other thing is, there's a number of umpires, some are here tonight. If you're unable to do the match report online because you don't have a computer or you're not sure and you're leaving it up to your partner all the time, can I encourage you to ring Neil Murray, myself, or 1 or 2 other senior umpires that you know who'd be more than happy to take the call and enter that information for you. Okay? So what we will do is I'll ask Michael Moss to send an email out, especially to the senior guys, see if I can get at least half a dozen volunteers to say, yep, happy for other umpires to ring me and enter that information on their behalf. So we can support one another for those that either don't have a computer or not computer literate in those regards.
So
is that clear?
You can only do the games you're allocated to then?
No, but you can put in your number. Like, if you give me your number...
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, yes, sorry, yeah.
So all you need to know is your login
password.
Yeah. So once you know that information, you ring me up, I say, Dave, what's your number? I put that in.
Yeah, correct. You have got it.
I can put the data for you.
Yeah,
so you should all have a number.
Yeah, I'm happy to do anyone.
Yeah, so we want to help and make sure that that information and make Ken Hilton's life and Subby's life a lot easier. So please adhere to that, if you wouldn't mind. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about right now. It's a little disappointing. It's about vilification. A couple of Saturdays ago, we had in a second 11 where a player is alleged to have called another player a spastic, which is totally unacceptable. Now, at this point in time, I haven't actually spoken to the 2 umpires directly, so I don't know if they actually heard it or somebody brought it to their attention. But there is a vilification document on the VSDCUA website. I encourage you all to go and have a read of it. I've printed it out because there's a process for umpires to follow on match day if it's either brought to your attention or you hear a vilification comment. That certainly offends somebody else. Okay? Now the first thing it talks about is the process, and I'll quickly outline it. But I want you, please do yourself a favour, go online and you'll see in the top there, vilification, and you'll be able to read it. The process for resolution of complaints. The process for resolution of complaints should proceed along the following lines. 1. Umpires, captains, administrators or officials should immediately attempt to resolve the issue. So that means straight after the game, and you all should have a little notebook on the day. So player A, you've heard call player B and vilified that particular player. So you document that, time, etc. After the game, prompt action is required to call in, obviously the 2 umpires are there, both players and their captains. and then go through the process. It's alleged or it's been documented, whatever, about A player said to player B, whatever, and try and resolve it. By resolve it, it means that the player who's been vilified accepts an apology, and that's the end of the matter. What I'd like to see, though, is on your match report that Ken Hilton is aware of it. Player's name, whatever, Ken Hilton can then document in case it comes up a second time going forward. So the umpires are in control just to handle it. Now, if someone's not sure how to handle it, this process, like I said, is online. You follow this process so we can nip it in the bud. I've got to say, it's the first time I've heard of a vilification in a long, long time in sub-district cricket. But we've got to make sure that we help the VSDCUA stamp that sort of thing right out. We are totally a multicultural country, a multicultural society. So it's really important that we support everybody and every person as a human being first and foremost. Can't stipulate that strongly enough. Is that clear to everybody? So I've printed it out, wouldn't hurt for you to print it out, follow the process, keep it in your bag, should it occur. If a player brings it to your attention, you haven't actually heard it, then by all means you call the captains in, you call the players in, and you say this has been brought to our attention, and try and find out what happened and go through the process. And again, if you're not sure, just follow this process. Now, if you're still there at the ground and you're still not sure about it, call me. And I'll help you with it, okay? But make sure you've got a little notebook, document, and then inform Ken Hilton so he's aware of it. Any questions on that?
Would you be naming the player on your match report?
I would, absolutely, because Ken Hilton, if it's, let's say it's a Moorabbin player to pick someone, and James Barrett from Werribee, if we don't mention it, and another player from Moorabbin down the track, Ken Hilton will be going, was it the same player, not the same player? So I think, because it's confidential, to send to our secretary. So I think the player's name should be mentioned, and from the club.
What happens if it doesn't get resolved?
If it doesn't get resolved, then that's got to go to Ken Hilton, and then the VSDCA will take action and work towards a resolution. Yep. But again, that's all documented here. Okay, I don't want to go through the whole thing, but it's important that everybody understands what it is. So we don't want that in the VSDCA. We just need to stamp that out if it's happening. Okay? I just want to show some videos now, which my beautiful assistant will show. Now, I want to show you this because this is about distraction. So let's have a look at this and see what you think. Let's show it again. Can we show that again, please? Okay, have a close look. Here it is. Look at the bowls. 360, right? Now look at the umpire straight away has done what?
Dead ball.
Call a dead ball. That's exactly what should happen. Because the bowler's not being fair under the spirit of the game and by the laws of the game, which comes under fair and unfair. Okay? So that's certainly something. I've never seen that before. When I looked at this, I've been able to chuckle myself. I don't know if he keep his momentum and his wits about him going forward. Okay, batsmen always go for a reverse sweep or a switch hit against bowls. Now, I have got a document to talk about switch hit tonight, so we'll go through that. Can we go to the next one, please, assistant? My regular assistant wasn't there, so...
Your regular one?
Yeah, my regular one.
You're starting in movies now.
Yeah.
I think your eyesight was off before too, about the comment about the beauty
My
of
question was, have you vilified him?
That's obviously in England.
Have a look at the guy on the right-hand side.
Obviously in England.
Look at this. Okay, can you show that again, please? Now see, the ball's already in transit. He's moved. What do? Dead ball straight away. But there's further actions that the video doesn't show you. If you could pause that for me, please. What you need to do is you go over to that particular player and call his captain over. And just say to him, you cannot move once the bowler is in his delivery strike. Correct. It's distraction. So that's something we do not want to see. Now you'll pick it up, especially in close within your vision, but when you're at square leg, have a look at it as well. And make sure people are not moving around and things like that, which is really important. Where are you,
The
John?
last one.
Well,
Might have to
Next
replace
one.
that.
Yep, that one.
No, that one. This one. I think this is the one. Have a look at this one.
Batsman spins around. You've got-
Look at this. Look at this. Look, look.
I would have called it dead ball before even bowled.
Absolutely dead ball. The batsman still can't distract the bowler or whatever trying to do that. I would call it dead ball straight away. And you go down quietly to say to the batsman, you cannot move until when?
Ball's delivered.
Until the bowler is actually in his delivery stride. You know, he can't be jumping around doing that sort of stuff, which is just totally unacceptable. Okay? That'll do for that. I mean, I think it's quite humorous, to be honest, but, you know, which is really important, but still.
Oh, like a fielder. The fielder should be playing dead.
what about the penalty runs in the...
Look, for something like that, I'll be giving a warning first, but if they don't adhere to it, by all means, unfair and unfair, you can certainly penalise 5 runs, but let's not go there first.
Benny, what happens if the bloke that does the 360 bowls with that batsman? What is it dead for?
Dead ball each. Take one and pass them around, please.
Hey Benny, can I talk about distraction of the striker?
No.
I can't?
Go for your life, John.
Well, this actually happened in real life. This happened at a grand final about 6 years ago. And it was Team A were batting first and got a low score, about 120, 100, something like that. And then they had 21 overs to play for the rest of that day. And they come out all fired up, and they were really aggressive and in the face of the players, and they actually were taking it way too far. At about the 6th over, we said to myself and my other umpire, we called the captain over and said, you're going way too far. The bloke at point is gone way over the top. You've got to control him, and you've got to control your own team. He said, well, I can't control my own team. So, we then said, pull your heads in, and then the game progressed on a little bit further, and then we got to the point they started to get really aggressive in the face of the batsman, and we've said, hey, cut it out, no more. Then the captain was the worst offender. Okay? Worst offender. So we got to the point, I discussed with my partner, and I said, well, where do we go with this? We said well, let's do the 5-run penalty. And at that point, when he changed the bowler, brought this bloke on, was the nutcase, and his first one, he ran direct down the wicket, straight in his face, going, like this. That's it, I've called it, 5-run penalty. And it actually stopped it instantly, and it was like the only time we've ever called it. It's pretty brave to do it. The fact is it stopped it instantly, and if you actually take the whole context of the match, they lost by probably 5 runs. So it was very interesting, but you really make sure you talk to your partner, confirm, but once they go too far, they've been warned, game over. So that was just something that happened to me.
All right, one of these for you.
Thank you.
Okay, now everyone's got a copy of this. Now, as you know, this more happens in 2020 and one-day games, where it's called a sweep or a switch hit, when they try and confuse things, which is what that batsman was trying to do. And you saw he went to the other side and tried to play it. So we talked very clearly about the batsman's grip and stance should be the same from the start of the bowler's run up to the beginning of the bowler's delivery stride, which goes to what happened there as well. The batsman can utilise any grip as long as he does not change it while the bowler is running in the bowl. And again, that's what that batsman was doing. From the beginning of the delivery stride, you find is the moment that the bowler's back foot lands in the delivery stride. The batsman, if he chooses, may start to play what's called the switch hit stroke. Okay, is everyone clear with that? If the bowler sees the batsman not alter his grip or stance before he enters the delivery stride, he's not compelled to deliver the ball. If he thinks he's going to do that and he starts to move, he can stop and go back and reset. Okay? Because the batsman's trying to then to gain an advantage. Okay? If the bowler does not deliver the ball, then the umpire shall give the striker an informal warning, kind of a friendly first, okay? Because it doesn't happen all that often, but we've got to be mindful of it. And then it goes through, talks about the second time, what we do, the bowlers, and then in short, the batsman is still entitled to play the switch hit stroke, but he's only allowed to alter from one stance or grip to another once the bowler's entered his delivery stride. Is that clear? That's the law of cricket. Wide interpretation, now this is again which can confuse umpires as well, and we'll talk about that. The interpretation we follow for calling a wide, a switch hit or reverse sweep is played on all the batsmen getting in position to play the shot is deemed to bring the ball sufficiently within his reach on the leg side as well. Consequently, in these circumstances, the wider 75 centimetre wide guideline for one-day matches shall apply on both sides of the stumps. Does that make clear? So that's really good. We've got that guideline for this happening. Really important. Simply, when the batsman plays or aborts playing a reverse sweep or a switch hit, this shot negates the leg stump wide interpretation. Now, the third component of this, what about the bowler happens to hit him on the pads and there's an LB shout? Where do we go? If a player decides to switch hit, then for an umpire to decide the batsman is out or not out LBW, the batsman's normal batting position is the deciding factor. So I bat right hand, I then move and I go around here. So therefore he's making a bounce, if you like, or pitch outside leg stump in there. That doesn't count. So it's no longer, it's not outside leg stump because he's a right hand bat. So he changes to go to left hand, it pitches there and it hits in line. The LBW law still applies. Is that clear? Is everyone sure? Because if you're not sure, let's go through it. All sure? Okay.
And the other way, if he bowls it out there, it's a can't be given out.
Correct.
You've just stuffed yourself, screwed yourself there. When you see a left arm bowler who bowls over the wicket to a right hand batsman, you've struck on the pads, the umpire will adjudicate the same. If that batsman was not switch hit, so if the ball pitches outside the leg side, the decision is not out.
Correct. If he moves
Right.
to go round and takes it out, then for a left hand to a right hand bat, but again, what I didn't do on here was say whether it's round the wicket or over the wicket. And that could be a deciding factor. But it's just an example of what you need to be aware of, because you've got left-hand bats, you've got left-hand bowlers, where it pitches, where it is, and then you've got a batsman who wants to switch hit. So let's just go through that process, okay?
You happy with that, Bill, or you?
Now what he's saying is if you're a left-hand bowler and you're batting normally right-handed,
Yep.
if you turn around and bat left-hand and you pitch it outside, which normally would be his leg stump, he's not out. Even though he's turned around and faced left-handed.
Correct. It's got, because what I said at the start, you go from where he's standing in his normal batting position is the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that's the idea of that. Yeah. Does that make sense though, Bill?
Yeah, not what you first said, though.
Or mine?
You got that on tape?
No.
Next time you and I umpire together and you say something, I'm going to know you, Bill.
Thank you. And that's the Bill the case for apply to umpires too?
Doesn't apply to me.
My first match in first division
At least it's different.
was Brunswick and Baldwin. It was David Mackay bowling to Liam Murphy, and Liam Murphy went for a switch. Mackay went up, and it was a good induction into
Yeah, it can. And what we're seeing more and more is this switch hitting. So we need to be prepared for it, especially when. But the real rule of thumb is this: if he's a right-hand bat, that's his normal batting position, and if he turns around, if you go for an LB, that's what you adjudicate on, as if he was a right-hand bat. The fact that he's turned around or he's turned left or he's gone back to whatever he is,
Thank you.
you go by that's the deciding factor. As long as the bowler's in his delivery stroke.
Benny, just on that point, if we give a decision,
Hang on, listen up.
if we give a decision not out, and then the bowler turns around or the captain comes up and says, oh, but hang on, he has switch hit and the ball is pitched in line and it's going to hit the stumps. What is our response to them then?
See me after the game and I'll explain it to you. You don't go explain it out there. If he doesn't know the rules and laws of the game, it's not up to us to go through
Well, I guarantee
Ryan
you-
and read. You just say to the captain or the bowler, listen, it's take too long to explain out here now. That's my decision. Happy to talk to you after the game.
But there is the thing where they actually do switch hit.
Yeah.
They face the other way.
Yeah.
Before they start bowling, then his leg side becomes that side.
No, it's a dead ball.
No, if he switches before he's taking...
Yeah, so I face up like this, and then for the next ball I want to face up like this.
Oh, before the bowler's even started?
Oh,
Yes.
that's fair enough.
That's fair enough.
That's a
Yeah,
different-
yeah, yeah. That's
He can
what-
bat right
He said
left-handed.
switch hit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a switch hit. That's
Right,
the
that's
different
the thing,
scenario.
yeah.
No, that's not a switch hit. A
switch
means
hit is where
you're
they actually
switching
do that.
when the bowler... Yeah, correct. Sorry, Jeff.
In amongst this, what's your technique or method to assess the actual moment when the bowler's back foot lands? Are you just doing it peripherally, vision? Or
Yeah, you have to, because your distance back, and again, I want to talk about this in a minute, I was going to talk about this. This is really important about keeping your head still. And I've got some video that I need to first show to the umpires themselves to make sure they're okay for me to show it to the group, because I don't want to kind of embarrass anyone. But we've still got some umpires that are doing this. And it's really hard to pick up the ball and then trying to find the ball and see the ball. So it's really important to keep your eyes still. And when the back foot lands, because you're a reasonable distance, you'll see it. You'll see it. You know?
But sometimes, you get a bowler who says, oh, can you stand
A bit closer. Yep. Well, you need to be careful because, and if you don't quite see, you've got to give the benefit of the doubt to the bowler in that particular case, about where it's at. But it's something. It's like a free kick in football. If you don't see it, you can't play. You've got to see it, which is really important. Okay. Now, who umpired here 2020 last night? Can I just ask anyone at all who umpired 2020? How did it go? Was there anything happening in the game that you want to talk about? Ray, something a bit unusual? Anything at all?
Yeah, it's about the waist high again.
The waist high?
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a slow bowl?
No. Last ball of the day, they needed 5 to win.
Yep.
I told them at the start of the game, that's the hit, that's the waist, yeah?
Yep.
Before, and the captain for Taylor's Black batting, they needed 4 to tie, 6 to win, or 5 to win. He walked at the bowler bowled a full toss, was on the hit, I just flipped it over, and game ended.
So he walked like this.
Stood in the middle of the wicket and said, that's effing there. And he was frustrated, so I let him go with that.
Yeah.
I said, I told you at the start of the game whether it was. And he was a bit, more frustrated.
Yeah.
But I try and explain that even in one-day games as well, now, just at least I've done that, what I've done. So those sort of things, and be careful with guys in the inner field, coming from outside the circle, moving into the circle. I called 2 last night. One where they just had 3 in, they bowled the ball. The other one was I was at square leg and the fielder next to me wasn't inside the circle.
Yeah,
So I always stand outside the circle in a 20-20 or a one-day game, so you can see if the fielders are in on my side.
Same at our game. I was standing right on the edge of the circle,
Yeah.
and there's a black outside. I called the no ball. And my partner was he was closer to the stumps, and there was a fielder behind him. I just said to him, "Hey, just be careful. Go back to the line because you can see it."
Yeah.
He's gone, "Oh, good."
That's the reason I raised it, because teamwork is really crucial in one-day games. Because of the circle, and you're not allowed to have more than 5 on the leg side, all that. So you've really got to work it out. Now, in individual talks with some umpires, and I've said, have you worked out who's going to count inside the circle? And some haven't even bothered. So when you're umpiring a one-day game that we are on Saturday, I believe it's a lot easier, if you like, for the square leg to be back on the circle and the person that counts, especially after the first 15 overs, you don't have to count how many's out. Just count how many's in. And the minimum is 4. So it's really important that that becomes part of your role, in my opinion. But if you decide between you that it's going to be the bowler's end, well, so be it. But you put a lot of pressure on yourself by doing that. So the square leg umpire can do that and make sure you really communicate together about that. And if you're not sure about something, just go over to your partner and say, let's have a chat. Doesn't matter if it's in between and over. Want to get on with the game, make it quick, decide on whatever it is, and then get back. But communicate. And after you've done that 3 times, communicate, communicate, communicate. You cannot over-communicate. You're far better to keep reinforcing to support each other. So I made up this document, and it more talks about, and right at the top, the square leg umpire. You can't afford to switch off in a one-day game. But by all means, when you're walking out the square leg and it's time to just relax a little bit, cool your jets, get your clear frame of mind, and then as soon as the bowler starts to come in, I mean, I've got a little idiosyncrasy. I'll stand like this at square leg. As soon as I see the bowler, I'm right. And I'm in tune, straight away. But if you get the square leg and the ball's still going around the ground and you're ready to go, you're going to create a bit of tenseness, and therefore you're not calm and composed. So just relax, walk a little bit, yeah, the bowler's ready to come, now I'm in sync, okay? Really important. I apologise for my voice just getting over a flu, it's coming back. So limited over in 2020 matches, it just talks about the importance of some of these things. Very brief, about concentration. You must learn to relax without switching off when the ball is dead, okay? Which is really important. So please take these documents, I deliberately hand them out so you can take them with you. Just before the game, you're sitting in the rooms, maybe you get there an hour and 10 minutes before waiting on your partner, have a bit of a read. Whether it's a switch hit, whether it's one-day game, some of those things, and just remind yourself of some of those attributes and where it's at.
Andy,
Yes.
just on the position there, you got watch that crosses over the popping crease and is grounded.
Yes.
It can now bounce once it's
Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as it's grounded, it doesn't matter. But it can't be grounded before the popping crease and come up. It still must be grounded over the popping crease.
And it's still got to be going into forward protection.
Yep. Which is really important. Yes?
Just on the 2020s, if the game starts early, should we still be giving them only that 75 minutes? So say you say 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 75-minute innings.
Okay.
But at this time of night, when it starts to get dark, I mean, it's now 8:25, so it's not too bad. But in the first week of November, when we were doing 2020, I think we were going back a week or so ago, and it starts to get dark around 5 to 8, 8 o'clock, 5 past 8. I always say, when you get there, the official start time is 5:30, but if you're there at 10 past 5, quarter past 5, both teams are ready to go, both umpires are ready to go, get the game underway. But it's still a 75-minute innings.
Okay, so if they take it right up to that point, we should be penalising them?
Well, if they, go by the rules. But what you do at the toss, you say, guys, we're starting at 20 past, but it's still a 75-minute innings. So again, it's all about communication. So the captain's then got nowhere to go by thinking 5:30 start, finish at quarter past 8 or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you've changed the time and he's starting to take his time.
You've got to give a bit of leeway. God, there's more sixes in 2020.
Yeah,
the ball
there's
goes
more,
into the
it's
school.
lost.
Yeah, goes into the
The
school.
main things you want with 2020, as soon as the batsman out, you want to see the next batter in, walking in.
Correct, yeah.
Straight away.
Jogging.
Trying to get there. I'm not too worried about jogging, as long as they're walking at a reasonable pace, trying to get there. You know, you just want to make sure that they're trying to adhere. The biggest problem you got in 2020, I reckon with some captains, is they start moving the field around a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
That
Every
can
ball.
really cause... All you've got to do, as soon as the captain delays it, get a feel for it, get an understanding, and just quietly call the captain over the end and say, listen, I know you want to move the field and everything, but in this particular format of the game, you've got to keep the game going. You've only got 75 minutes, so it's important you keep the game moving. So get your field set and try and do it quicker. And be polite, do it in a nice way, communicate, etc. Okay? The very last thing I want to talk about is the one-day wides. Now, I did run a session last time, we showed a bit of video about some wides. We still get some umpires that are still not sure. So, you won't be able to see this, but I'm happy to do it for individuals. You can see my drawing there. Fantastic drawing that it is. There's the stumps.
You've got the little lines outside the stumps, mate.
There's the wide line. This area here, the popping crease and the wide line is only a guide. It is not a rule that it must be bowled in there and that's it. Because you've got to allow for spinners, you've got to allow for swing ball, and the white ball does swing a bit, especially on cloudy days. So you've got to understand that. The rule of thumb is this. When it passes the batsman at the crease or that crease line, usually in that area, you've got to make sure that the batsman's able to do one thing. What is it?
Hit the ball.
Play what we do a normal cricket shot. So I'm a right-hand bat. There's a leg spinner. He pitches it there, and it spins inside the line marginally, but goes further away, and I can't play a normal shot. That is a wide. A pace bowler bowls it, especially if it's a left hand to right hand, and it goes further away into him. More times than not, it's going to go down leg. Really important to make sure the line. This is why I don't want umpires putting their head down a lot of the times, because they misinterpret. Did it flick the pad? Did it hit the bat? Heard a noise? Did he hit the ground? That's why your head being still and watching a ball is really critical.
The other one, Benny, is the one that goes over the stumps when the batsman,
Yeah. I mean, if a batsman moves in and it goes behind him and it goes over the stumps, that's not outside leg. It's got to be outside the leg stump, not outside his leg. Make sense? You're going to say something, Neil? I thought you were.
I think what we have...
No. Well,
That's it.
I just want to clarify one thing, Brian. You know, the example of the leg spinner, if it pitches like and it hits that on that tee on the crease, then that's never a wide for me. I don't care how far he turns it. Because most batsmen take their guard on or about the crease.
Yeah.
So I might have misheard what you said there.
Yeah.
But I just,
But the rule of thumb, if a ball, if it bounces right on that tee, if you call it, and then goes further away, you've got to interpret whether you can play a normal,
That's right, yes.
a normal cricket shot. Now, if you can't play a normal cricket shot, that's got to be your guide. It makes sense? That's got to be your guide. So I don't mind if you're a little tougher in one-day games. And what's the thing that all players want?
Consistency.
As long as you're consistent. So as soon as that happens, and you do that for the whole match, captains and players pretty much won't complain.
What happens if the batsman moves across
No.
to play? Does the wide go wide?
Yeah, wide, you're correct.
Well, it depends. If he gets there early and he can play a shot, you've got to determine whether he could have played a shot. So you've got to determine that based on the situation as it occurs. Really important.
I had a thing a few weeks ago where we had a 6'8" batsman. The bowler's putting them way out on the offside. This guy's stepping out and driving these things through cover. Far enough out that I've just about got the arms up. Then he stands there and lets one go. Looks at me going, where's the wide? With any other batsman, you would have had to call it wide. But he's just played 3 perfectly normal cricket shots.
Yeah.
To exactly the same.
It's interesting you say that. You do get a bit, I guess, a jittery or nervy when you assess and go, that's going to be a wide. So you start. I tell you to relax. You don't need to signal or do anything until the ball is really dead. It's gone past him. So once it goes past, even if it hits the gloves, I just calmly, it's a wide, boys, turn to the scorers. But the last thing I want to see, which I've got a video of one of our seconds games, unfortunately, in a one-day game, and both of those umpires are not here tonight, so I can't talk to them. But it's interesting because the camera was here. It's on YouTube. The camera was at the back, and the umpire, you see, who needs to turn basically where the camera is to signal, he went to call it a wide, so he started to move like that, and the batsman hit it. Oh shit, and come back. So, first and foremost, it wasn't a wide. Secondly, he's taken his eyes off where the action is because you anticipate. Sometimes. So you've got to be careful, you've got to wait for things to happen. And whilst we're trying to be proactive, which I applaud, we're still got to go within the rules and what we're doing.
I think the advantage of the wide is you don't have to go straight away. No ball, you've got to go straight, but the wide you've got time.
And the same with the no ball that goes to, and you want to take the scorers. So front foot no ball, doesn't matter, 2-day game, 1-day game. And I always encourage every umpire I umpire with, don't say no ball, say ball. Ball! You can yell out really quick, put your hand out, say no ball, takes to take longer to come out. The batsman, quick you can get it out. Sometimes the batsmen, if they're good enough, they'll hear it. Just go for a shot. So you're trying to make the game. It's a no ball. The batsman gets an opportunity. But if you know where the scorers are, anywhere behind you, don't worry about signalling to the scorers until the ball's dead. Because if it's still alive, things are going to happen.
Yeah.
You're standing out here like a shadow.
Yeah, there's a run-out chance. Behind you.
Things are happening. So don't be in a hurry to get to the scorers. And sometimes, because the scorers think, oh, he's not telling us quickly, they just yell out scorers and get their attention. So it's really important, okay? But try and keep, we've got umpires that are doing this. Things are still happening. You don't have people saying things, doing things, where's the ball? Some bloke putting his bloody studs on it, all sorts of things. So we've got to keep our heads up, watch all the time. So if you want to go for a walk, which I do, just keep an eye on things. Just keep an eye on things. But we've got a propensity to put our heads down. I don't understand any umpire that's doing this, and straight away the head goes down. Yeah, you're out.
Helen Dunn does it.
And mate, I can show you a vision of it. And it sounds funny, but it is happening, unfortunately.
I think we're getting a lot more vision. There's a lot more clubs
Yeah.
now taking vision, like what we're doing here on presentations.
None of you can hide. It's all on YouTube.
Just with that wide interpreted, what we need to do with the forums that the guys have had, the captains need to be, or the players need to be instructed it's a guideline, especially on the offside.
Yes.
Can I go back to the previous wide?
Yep.
The guy is 6'8", and his normal stance and normal shot, as we were describing in that wide, he's still at his normal stance, normal strike, he's able to strike the ball even if it's outside.
A wide is different for a batsman who's 6'8" and a batsman who's 5'8".
Yeah, it's 5'6", so, you know, it's got to be...
Interpretation's no longer a wide, is it?
No, but you've got to interpret, can the batsman,
Yeah.
whether he's 5'6" or 6'10",
Yeah.
play a normal batting shot?
In that
That's what the law says.
In that instance,
Yeah.
6'8", normal stance, he's shown that his normal shot is outside that white line, and he lets one go. That's his decision.
But again, you've got to interpret, because not every ball is going to be exactly the same. There's going to be margins. So you need to interpret that. As long as you're consistent, that's all we have. Sorry?
Is the wide for one batsman might be different to a wide.
Yeah, it could be. Because it could be different for a bowler who swings, bowler who cuts, bowler who spins. They're all different. But that's why we say it's a guide to help you, but make sure the batsman, under the laws, can play what they deem to be a normal batting stroke.
I've had a situation where a couple of players have said to me, oh, that's outside the line, it's a wide, and which I've responded to say, that is a guideline, not a wide line. Is that correct?
Yeah, well it is. It's a guide to help you with wides. But any ball that goes totally outside that line, totally, if it's just a straight ball, should be called a wide.
Just changing the subject and go back to something that happened in a match yesterday. Left and right hand partnership, batting, and a runner. And you get caught out by being in the wrong spot because it happens to all of us. Do you want to just explain
The runner scenario?
Yeah.
Okay. Under the rules and laws of the game for a runner, and by the way, in sub-district cricket, they are allowed runners. It's only at the ICC level. They don't have runners. But at our level, because I had a game with a runner a couple of matches back at the first thing, can't have a runner. They think, you know, I said, no, you can. But it's the umpire's decision about having a runner. Okay? Not the captain's. It's the umpire's call. So if you decide the player can have a runner, he can have a runner. And they might come in and say, oh, he did it last week. No. You're not doctors. So you do that. Now, this is where I would love to have a whiteboard. But anyway, it's when you're going to have a runner. I could draw on that, Bill. Yeah. When you're going to have a runner, it's really important that, and again, this is where it's difficult because you might have the sun that might dictate what side you're going to be. Because invariably, you'd say to the runner, the batsman runner, to go where? To square leg, and you would go to point. Now, the other thing I always do, that I was taught, make sure I walk over to my partner and say, Merv, make sure you run to me, run to me, run to me. So no matter where the ball's hit, he runs to you because the runner's on the other side. Now, automatically, the ball gets hit that side, and a lot of us are creatures of habit. The ball goes that side. I'm supposed to run to Merv. I go that side. I turn. I've got the runner running behind me.
Yeah.
And it happens.
It happens to
It happens.
everybody.
So that's why communication is really helpful and important. So you've got to make sure you say to your partner, as soon as the runner comes out, run to me, run to me, run to me, because the runner's going to be on the other side. Okay? So it's really important that you watch that. Now the other thing is, I always say to the runner, if there's no white lines there, get your sprigs, mark a line so that you can see the line and he's behind that line.
And don't start. What they do, we have one.
That's why you've got
Don't
to watch.
start, mate.
You can't afford, you've got to watch.
Don't have your bat there waiting.
Yeah, you've got to
Stand behind
watch.
the white, mate.
Now, this is unaffiliated in here, this is for me. No, I won't say because Jeff's here.
I'll leave the room.
LBW and Susan Runner, yeah, go on. Get him out. And that's an old one, but no, we don't have that. But, so a runner can be difficult if you make it difficult. It can also be easy. Because you make sure the runner goes. Now, if the sun happens, if you go to point and you're looking right into the sun, then don't do it. Just swap it around. But again, let your mate know, listen, I'm going over there because of the sun. Make sure you run to me, run to me, run to me. And help one another. Really important.
So
to do that.
get the runner on the same side as you then?
No.
Push him on the other
side.
side. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then-
No, because you can't have the runner in front of you.
No, that's
you're
right.
going to block.
Yeah.
So you can't have the runner behind
Yeah.
you. So you then go to square leg.
And he goes to point.
He goes to point. But you only do that.
If you're at the northern end, if you're at the
Yeah.
northern end
Yeah.
and the sun, yeah.
So that's really important from that aspect because runners can cause a little bit of confusion. What's worse, 4 years ago, wasn't me, was somebody. We had 2 umpires. I can't remember which game. 4 or 5 years ago, had 2 runners.
Yeah, we had two. I've had two
I've
runners.
had 2 runners.
Yeah.
I did
Well, if
it.
you reckon one's confusing,
I did a Craig Shield game.
You can't go to the, you've got to stay in the middle.
yeah, can't. But you need a way. I won't go through that. So, sorry, is someone going to ask a question? No, all good. Guys,
You have to stay in the
one-day
middle.
game on
You can't
Saturday.
go to either side.
Again,
You've got to stay there.
please make sure you communicate. Now, the very last thing I want to talk about is a batsman. A lot of batsmen, do this and then stand up. So their normal stand up. If I'm a square leg to a batsman there, I try and get a sight, whether it's a tree,
Yeah.
a fence, something on the other side, so that you can adjudicate. Because a ball, forget about the big bash, forget about TV, a ball that goes over the head up here is a
No ball.
no ball, not a wide. It's a no ball. And in one-day cricket, they get 1 per over.
One there.
1 short pitch per over. Now I'll leave you with this. Because he's in the room, I'm going to have a crack at him because he's a good fella. I was umpiring with a certain bloke down at Brighton some years, about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was at the bowler's end, he was at square leg at Brighton, he was standing on that side, club room's over there, and he's called no ball. And I've gone, okay, not sure what's happening here. So I went over and I said, sorry mate, just to help, no one knows what was a no ball for. He said, a full toss above the waist. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, why? I said, because it bounced. It had bounced and gone through that high. What he saw was a bird fly across. Is that right, bird? So, as experienced as Merv was back then, and very experienced, sometimes a bird can confuse you. Guys, enjoy your cricket. Thanks for listening.